Okay, picking back up with question number 20. What was the Dust Bowl and how did it affect the United States? So, the Dust Bowl was a widespread, large scale environmental crisis that led to massive drought and soil erosion in the Great Plains, especially in places like Oklahoma. And basically, this has made the problems that already existed with the Great Depression even worse and caused a lot of people to leave their farms and migrate to places like California looking for jobs. 21. Describe the Bonus Army in 1932. So the Bonus Army was a group of World War I veterans who were facing a lot of economic problems during the Great Depression. They came to Washington, D.C. with the hope of trying to convince Congress to pay them their war bonuses early. They camped out outside of the Capitol building to try to pressure Congress to give them that money. But question 21, Part A, how did Hoover's handling of the Bonus Army affect his popularity? What ends up happening is Hoover ordered the Bonus Army's campground to be cleared out. The police and the Army came out and violently removed the veterans from where they were camping and ended up burning down all their tents in their little shanty town. And this violent removal of veterans was covered in the press and significantly hurt Hoover's popularity. So number 22, Hoover was not reelected. Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected in his place. When Roosevelt took office, many banks had already closed their doors. What was his first action as president to fix this run on the banks? So what Roosevelt did was declared what's called the bank holiday. This is where banks would be closed for a day. People could not withdraw any more money, and all banks would undergo a federal inspection. Those that were healthy enough to reopen could, and those that were not would have to remain closed. 23, describe the goals of the New Deal. So the overall goal of the New Deal was to use the massive spending power of the federal government to help people directly with relief payments, put people to work with federally sponsored jobs, and also reform the whole financial system to help solve the problems of the Depression currently, but also prevent some of these problems from happening in the future. 24, describe the goals of each of the following New Deal programs. So the CCC stands for the Civilian Conservation Corps. This program put a lot of young men to work doing conservation projects, building parks, things like that. The TVA is the Tennessee Valley Authority. This built a lot of dams and power plants, especially in the southeastern portion of the United States, to, again, give people jobs, but also provide electricity to that region, which was very underdeveloped. C, the FDIC. This stands for the Federal Depositors Insurance Corporation. This is a insurance system that backs up bank deposits with the insurance of the federal government. So essentially, if a bank closes or is robbed or is burned down, those deposits are insured and be paid back to the depositor up to a certain dollar amount. This helps kind of reinstate confidence in banks after the Depression and still exists today. The WPA is the Works Progress Administration. This is similar to the CCC in that it used federal money to put people to work. So it had them do things like paint murals, create works of art, but also build roads, build bridges, build schools, build government buildings. Again, the idea was to give people jobs. E, the Social Security Act created the Social Security system. This is basically a old age pension or an old age payment provided by the federal government covered through Social Security taxes to prevent senior citizens from falling into poverty after they stopped working. The AAA was the Agricultural Adjustment Act. This was designed to boost agricultural prices by reducing surpluses. So basically, the government would buy livestock for slaughter and also pay farmers subsidies not to plant to help reduce some of those overproduction problems. The SEC stands for the Securities and Exchange Commission. This was put in place to basically put regulations on the stock market and the whole financial system. The SEC also still exists today. Finally, the Wagner Act, also known as the National Labor Relations Act, was a law that basically supported unions and supported workers. It gave them the right to collectively bargain and the right to form unions. 25. Which two New Deal measures were declared to be unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? That was the NRA, the National Recovery Administration. That was declared to be unconstitutional because it violated the separation of powers by giving legislative authority to the president. And the AAA, the Agricultural Adjustment Act, that was declared to be unconstitutional because the court said agriculture is a local matter, not an interstate commerce matter. So the federal government cannot regulate that. It has to be left to the states.